Hi.
Oh, hello.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. We're going to talk about Ghostbusters. In honor of that, I have feathered my hair. I am calling this the Bedtime Farrah Fawcett.
I like it.
Thank you, Billy Business.
I think it works for you.
Oh, I appreciate that. You're in the Dan seat, so you'll have to be Dan.
That's why I wore my hat today.
You'll have to come in with a rant at some point. I don't know. It'll be a surprise.
I need a pen to take notes the whole time.
That's true. There you go. Spencer, good morning.
How's it going?
You can just be you today.
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Play that character. Ed Greer.
Wow, play that character.
You're how I know it's the week.
Wednesday.
And we're midway through the week, and that means eventually I will rest. But not now.
And on the Sabbath, Roth rested.
But she didn't, though.
No, she
just
didn't.
Never did. So new Ghostbusters movie. So this kind of, what's interesting about this is that ostensibly speaking, there were a lot of rumors. I don't know if you guys recall, but when the Sony hack happened, there were a lot of leaks about projects in development. One of them was, and this was before the 2016.
They wanted Spider-Man to do CrossFit and Snapchat. That's what I remember most from the Sony hack.
Well,
Was that real?
I remember that's one.
Really?
I remember that. I remember they wanted. There was something I missed, which is the Men in Black 21 Jump Street crossover that was in development. There was a Jason Reitman Ghostbusters movie, if I recall correctly. At that time, that was rumored to be in development even before the 2016 Paul Feig film was released. At the time, it was rumored to be centering around Channing Tatum because I think by law, everything is rumored to be centering around Channing Tatum.
It's a safe bet.
At least in 2016. So all of that to say...
And now it's Tessa Thompson.
Sure, who is a delight,
and in Men in Black.
A pure, wonderful delight, and in the upcoming reboot. Yes, that is accurate with Mr. Chris Thor. One of the best, but not the ultimate Chris. So as we agree, Spencer and I are agreed. That goes to Evans now and forever. So hey. For you were saying this felt like a little bit of a surprise where it was suddenly they announced not only is this in development, it's happening, it's shooting this summer, and here's a teaser.
Yeah, it was crazy because this came out, yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, and then all of a sudden this morning it was like, oh, by the way, we have footage. So it's not like, hey, this is something we might do. It's like, oh, this is something we're like well underway. And the only thing I remember from those Sony emails were how much they disliked Angelina Jolie. So I don't remember ever seeing anything about this, but this came as a big surprise to me. No?
Well, asked for it on Angelina Jolie. I don't think it was dislike. I think that they were just in a tough Okay. Anyway.
Google it and read it yourself. There was no love lost there. That was my big takeaway. They were not very.
Email is truth serum.
There was, in addition to the rumored projects, there was a lot of tea getting spilled in that hack. Oh my goodness. Did you ever look yourself up?
Yeah, why would I be in there? No.
Well, I was, but But should I tell that story?
Yeah. I mean, amend it if you have to, but give us the Reader's Digest version.
I don't know if I have to or not. I mean, I wasn't looking at an illegal hack, so let's start there. Okay. This was somebody else that looked it up, one of my colleagues that looked it up. And I'm embarrassed to tell this story. It's going to sound like a humble brag.
Well, now you're too far into it.
Yeah, too late now.
Well, you got to go out the other side.
Oh, shit.
You got to go forward to go back.
So, oh, God.
Roth Cornet's hair. How does she do it?
So a colleague of mine looked it up just to see if we had been talked about at all, and he found an incident in which I won't say who they are, but two very high up people at Sony clipped out a podcast that we did where I was postulating, this was well before the Spider-Man Sony Marvel deal happened, and I was postulating that it would happen because it was very much in Sony's best interest and also in Marvel's for the following reasons, And there was an email sent of the clip that said, see, they get it, this outlet gets it, so will Marvel. Which
do we have you to thank
no, we
for
don't.
Civil War?
Basically,
no,
you're
we
the
don't.
reason Spider-Man.
No, we don't, and that's
Sony
why I want to
get
caveat. No. That's why. God damn it! Why do I do this to myself?
But the original audio, when he lands, he goes, "Thanks, Roth."
No.
Right? He's got Captain America's shield, right? That's what he says.
No, and I'm gonna get so much heat because of that. That is not what I'm saying. That is in no regard. I am not self-aggrandizing. I do not credit us for that.
You from Brooklyn?
I think it was
Queens. Just like Roth Cornet.
I'm from Brooklyn. I went to high school in Brooklyn and I grew up on Roosevelt Island. Don't get it twisted. I'm so embarrassed, and that is no way what I am saying. I'm saying they wanted to see their own point of view reflected by dumb internet commenters like us. Speaking of which, I'm going to get us back on track.
Rob speaks for the people. I love it.
Well, no, you said, speaking of dumb internet comments, go ahead, Billy. What do you feel about Ghostbusters? Regular Ghostbusters
tell us
that
what you think
everybody
about
reveres.
Ghostbusters. Everyone's favorite movie.
No, because normally I'm the iconoclast that's just setting the chat on fire with ridiculousness, but now it'll be you. Go.
Look, I'm not
Today's
going
your
to
day.
call all of our viewers Mr. Pibb drinkers like you would.
Mountain Dew.
Excuse
slandered
me,
Mountain
sorry.
Dew.
Don't slander Mr. Pibb's good name.
Mr. Pibb is
Listen
cool.
up, all you Sierra Mist losers. All I was saying was that for me personally, I have absolutely 0% emotional attachment to Ghostbusters at all. I came to it late because I think it came out a couple years before I was even born. I didn't watch it until I was much older, maybe like well into my late teens. And I was like, okay, this kind of just isn't interesting to me. Then I saw the one a couple years ago. Thought it was funny. I thought it was fun. I had a good hour and a half while I watched it. That was it. So if they're
So,
like, "What's your favorite Ghostbuster?"
I
I'd be
just
like,
want
the
to
one
put that
that
in
I-
a headline.
yeah.
Billy only likes the 2016 Ghostbusters. That's what I
Fine.
heard.
That's
Put that in the
an
headline.
accurate statement.
I'm just trying to take the heat off me.
We're
Right
just-
here.
Look, I don't have a monumental accomplishment like
Okay.
bringing Peter Parker into
You
the
know,
MCU like you do. All I'm saying,
This is a hot show.
all I'm saying is that I don't have an emotional attachment to. I never watched the cartoon. The movies are like a little dry for me. They just didn't do anything for me. I thought the new one was fine. It was fun. I liked it while I watched it. I couldn't tell you anything about it now, but I remember I liked it when I watched it. So Ghostbusters 3, when people are like, "This is Ghostbusters," I'm like, all right, this is
the hill you wanna
this is
die
the
on.
Ghostbusters that
This
we
is
deserve.
GoBots.
I'm like, you deserve nothing, but if you feel like you must have a group of ghost busting gents, then have at it. I hope this car in a shed teaser really just got your rocks off for you this morning.
Wow, Billy.
We
Wow.
don't need a whole new salty Billy graphic. That's a hot
That is a
sauce.
salty Billy
Yeah.
graphic. Deserving rant. Congratulations.
Are you
Laying it
excited?
down.
What are
No,
you
I'd like to
feeling?
go into a coma or some type of vegetative state until 2021 because we're gearing up for presidential election and we're going to talk about Ghostbusters, those two things for the next year. And I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that and I don't want to do it again. Rob.
Yeah, well,
If only they
everything-
would delay Star Wars one more year
Yes.
so we could just have the perfect
The full
storm.
cycle.
Yeah.
Ed?
You know what? I mean, and this is all I'll say. I don't think that modern special effects has done anything for Ghostbusters. The 2016 one, I did not like the special effects. I felt like they were a bit special. You know what I mean? Kind of like some of the stuff in Aquaman where it's like, okay, this is really good, but it's super CGI'd up and it's like a neon manta. It's like, how serious can I take this? But it looks good. There's a lot of that in the new way that they're doing these ghosts and stuff. Whereas back in the days when it was optical techniques and just weird, like when Dan Aykroyd gets a ghost BJ, that was weird. And
weird.
That was weird.
You know what I mean? It was weird.
So
and,
weird.
And it was
Confirmed
very ethereal. I mean, you know what I mean?
It was tender. It was ethereal.
I'm not trying to make it a bodice ripper. I'm just saying, like, it was.
I want to see that cover. I want to see that cover right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody photoshopped that.
Well, JT was telling me before, he was like, the Ghostbusters movies feel more like a little bit more gritty, a little bit more grimy, a little bit more spooky, whereas the last Ghostbusters, he said, felt more like the cartoon, which I never watched. A little bit lighter, a little bit kind of brighter and everything. Maybe that's...
Well, kind of like that lived-in thing, right? When Star Wars kicked everybody's ass because when you saw that spaceship, it didn't just look like a maquette. It looked like a maquette that somebody smeared grease all over, like
Right.
it'd been used for 100 years, and that just blew people's minds. Well, I don't think you. And when you look at the prequels, everybody's so clean. Everything's so clean. You could be on a desert planet and everything's clean. It's too, so I think that's what I was trying to get at with the special effects. Now, I'm not moved by these ghosts. I'm moved more by 1980s optical ghosts than these new $100 million CGI ghosts.
And I will say
you
though
weren't moved by the ghost. You were moved by the people. You were
Well, I
moved
was
by
moved
the
by the people,
characters.
but they have to be reacting to something that I have to believe is there on some level. And in 2016, I didn't believe any of
They
that was
make
there
you
on
believe
any
it's
level.
there.
I love Leslie Jones.
Okay. Sorry.
And I really
Spencer.
like
And Kate McKinnon.
Jason Reitman's other films. I think he's a good filmmaker. I like he did Juno, right? Tully recently, and they are kind of like they're very modest, lived-in movies with some real character to them that are darkly funny in a lot of ways. So there's a chance this could work. I'm saying there's a chance. I'm definitely saying there's a chance just because I like him and I like the talent behind it, although we don't know if the cast is coming back.
I feel like in the melee of the beginning of this show that we didn't contextualize that Jason Reitman is directing this.
Yes. Yeah, right.
He co-wrote the script.
Well,
with
Billy had
Gilligan.
to say that he's not interested in any of it, and then we have to get back to Jason Reitman
Jason
being
Reitman.
responsible.
I believe you had to pull me out of the crowd, single me out, and then get back to you. I didn't freely was like, let me tell you why this sucks.
I do like the dudes who just reflexively super hated 2016 Ghostbusters having to pretend they really like Tully and Juno now. It's a heartfelt story about a night nurse helping a mom get through her third child.
See, and now I can openly dislike Juno like I do. I have no qualms to try to do Cirque du Soleil moves to make it all work. I can dislike whatever I want.
Yeah, let's talk about this one. This one to me is hilarious, which is that they're saying that they're casting. We don't know who's in the movie. We don't know if the original cast members are or not attached, but they are casting 4 mystery roles that are teenagers. Is it really a mystery, or is it the sons of the original characters?
okay.
I mean, it always is.
Or
You know?
daughters. Just saying. It's a 50-50 chance biologically.
I have too much pain around this.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that as a joke?
We were talking before the show began, like if it is the kids, like Creed being the one exception we could think of. Does it ever really work when the offspring of the character you love becomes the main focus? Like, it didn't work for Die Hard.
Independence Day.
Independence Day.
yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones was a bust. People didn't like Shia's.
Pacific Rim Part 2.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That actually was a...
So, like, I can't think of a time where it like, other than Creed, which we said is the exception, I can't think of a time where putting the offspring of the character you love as the main focus is the best idea.
Fair enough. Good point.
What about all of their ex-wives?
Like the First Wives Club, the First Busters Club.
I was at home making
And then
photos. He was chasing ghosts all over.
I want to see the Supernatural First Wives Club
Yeah.
featuring Sigourney Weaver yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't pitch me things I'll never get.
I'm telling you, man. I think that's my role. Pitch things that will never be.
All right, so we've landed, I think, in a somewhat optimistic.
Yeah, that's, let's see. I like his track record, but yes, otherwise we'll see.
We'll see. All right, Ghostbusters.
I also don't want to talk about it anymore.
That's not going to happen for you. I can't make that happen for you at all. You're going to
fine.
talk about Star Wars 2. Yeah, so there you go.
I like Star Wars.
I like how we've now established there's one franchise that everyone in this panel is like, I don't want to do that show. Like if it's Star Wars, Dan won't
Dan does
do
not
it.
wanna do it.
Ghostbusters, now Spencer's like, I don't want to do that one.
Yeah.
You don't really have an opt-out. I don't necessarily
No,
have an opt-out.
I wear it all with pride. I'll
Yeah.
wear that scarlet letter all day long. Bring it on.
Ed, what's the one franchise you just don't want to talk about anymore?
I think I stated it last show. Star Trek as movies, don't need to talk about it anymore. I really feel like that's a dead end.
Yeah.
That's that dead end and Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan ran down that alley and he got hit by a bunch of bottles.
Yes.
That's what that is to me. That's what talking about Star Trek as a movie franchise is to me.
What's interesting?
Painted a
what's
vivid
interesting
picture
to
with words.
me
That's,
is when we find
back.
these franchises that you would not necessarily associate with super fandom, and yet you discover there's so much super fandom
Yeah.
around it.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I don't think a couple of years ago I would have even begun to imagine there were such profound feelings about Ghostbusters. I like Ghostbusters a lot, the 1984 movie. I have watched it a lot. I think it's really fun. But I was surprised by the overwhelming emotional attachment. I really was.
The outstanding amount of 70s sex made a bunch of people who were 8 in 1984, 5, 6, or whatever, and saw all this jazz that was just like blew people's minds. I'm hesitant to say how boring Airwolf is. I loved Airwolf as a little kid. I put on a motorcycle helmet and went in the garage and sat in some contraption and pretended I was a Stringfellow Hawk, the only one with the strength to hold it when it went into turbo mode. You know what I mean? I did the whole thing. And I tried to watch an episode recently, and it's 50 minutes of Ernest Borgnine and him in the desert messing around, doing
Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy poorly, and then they jump in the plane, and they jump in the helicopter and shoot planes for 5 minutes.
It's beautiful. It's
Oh
poetry.
no, it's not. It's not.
I didn't see an Airwolf rant coming.
I could
And
not
I
have
love
seen
that
that
show.
coming.
I'm just saying the 80s makes this like fandom. You know what I mean? That's very.
Why that
I think
particular
for
generation?
Billy, like you're proving, it kind of had to catch you young to care that passionately about
Yeah.
it.
But
Like,
that's a lot. I'm finding like a lot of the things that people like are just shocked that I don't like E.T. Like it's all in that area of like the mid to late 80s that I just missed, and I caught it later, and I wasn't in the right cultural zeitgeist at the time, and I was like, I don't get it, you know?
But I feel like, I mean, it does seem located to the last 10 years or so that as much identity, I don't know, maybe it was there before, but it just wasn't as present, you know? But so much identity attached to these things to the point that just the level of like angst that comes up around stuff, you know? I mean, don't get me started on freaking Gem. But other than that, I just think like, yeah, let's be reasonable. Synergy doesn't even work like that. That was a complete bastardization of what synergy even is.
We didn't see a Jim rant coming
yeah,
either. So there you go.
we saw it coming.
Next show. No, I mean, but really, like, it just like why this period in the 80s did people become so identified with whatever they were reading or watching?
I think because there wasn't much else. Like it was either that or like aerobics or cocaine. So like the few nerdy things you got, you were like they just became a part of you, and you just rewatched it over and over
I
again.
really don't
It
know
is
why you
tied-
think those things are separate.
Yeah,
But it is tied heavily into like identity. It's like if this new thing based on this franchise that I love is bad, it quote unquote ruined my childhood. Like it is a very personal part of your identity now. I don't know where that comes from. Probably there's,
Well,
some
Ken-
sociology book out there
Yeah,
that's
I was
doing
gonna
think
say
there's probably a bunch.
Ken Burns and Howard Zahn are gonna jam on a book about it. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like what happened? What is that generation and the generations after it? Are
how
pretty
do
much
they
going that same
identify?
way. Yeah, well,
Because they're watching YouTube. Do you identify with us?
No.
I know. You identify with boxes being opened up and stuff being inside.
Yeah, touching slime.
yeah, in 2050, there's gonna be a whole movie about it unboxing, and it's just keeping the YouTuber away from the box.
Now,
You ruined it.
you just said the next movie that I know I will see that I don't want to see.
How's it
Coming
not
to
been
you in
unboxing horror
2020.
movie yet?
I don't know. Coming to you in 2020. Unboxing. Oh, God. Don't look too close. Oh, no. It's ready.
Somebody's gonna Photoshop that one too.
Oh, God damn. Christopher McQuarrie does not like DC. Just kidding.
Whoa.
Just feeding the aggregator.
Yeah.
Just feeding the aggregator.
Jeez, what are you trying to do?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Spicy.
man, that Farrah Fawcett hair is just taking over today.
There is no Roth, only Zool.
That's what it is. Wait. Okay, never mind. I was going to go to the Zool thing, but we can talk about it later. There's some things that don't track for me about Zool. So Christopher McQuarrie turned down a number of big franchise movies to stick with Mission Impossible, including Warner Brothers was trying to recruit him for an upcoming DC projects, and he was like, nah, I like what I'm doing, which is interesting. He might just not like that kind of. He might just not like comic book movies.
Which is fair. It's
I
fine.
said it as a whisper.
I know that was a careless.
Well, hasn't he
whisper.
said he wasn't interested in Star Wars either?
Yeah,
Didn't
he
he
just-
not turn down, but say like, I can't imagine why anyone would want to direct a Star Wars movie at this point?
Well, okay, but I think the context around that was when Ryan Johnson was
Yeah.
getting so like
Hammered,
on Twitter, and I think the context was he couldn't understand, and then I think it was also around Kelly Marie Tran, if I'm right, and he just couldn't understand wanting to involve yourself in that, and then having to face those repercussions.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
he's-
I'll just go work with Tom Cruise.
He's got the world on a string right now. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got a universally beloved franchise, like critics, fans, box office, everything, and zero backlash or scrutiny of like, oh, what's the plot leaks? Like, let's dissect every frame of the Fallout trailer. Like, everyone's just like, no, these are super entertaining. I can't wait to see the next one. I'm in. Like, why would you turn that down? Just do that until Tom Cruise's legs fall off.
and even then, he'll find a way.
Yeah, he
Oh,
will.
Yeah, Cruise don't quit.
I kind of miss. I mean, I'm double-edged sword because I really like Rogue Nation. I really like Fallout. I also kind of miss like every movie gets a new director,
Yeah.
someone else to play with it. Because my favorite is still Ghost Protocol, Brad Bird's, and I really like Mission Impossible 3, but they all feel a little different, and now it's going to feel homogenized. But I mean, he's yet to make a bad one. I
Yeah.
just kind of like the idea.
It was cool that Tom Cruise was like the paint that different artists would paint with.
Yeah, I like that. Short hair, long hair,
Yeah.
short hair, long hair.
Doves.
Yeah.
It's really only one with doves.
bling,
We-
bling, bling.
Two guns diving sideways with doves.
Oh, come on, man.
That's woo.
I love it.
So good for him, but also I think like, yeah, if he doesn't want to do comic book movies, that's fine. I do think he probably could have done like he could have taken his style, especially for Mission Impossible, and done some really cool stuff with some of the DC characters that haven't been done yet.
Well, see,
but-
and that's I literally had a whole thing. That's why I was hesitant to throw you my pen in that earlier bit, because I was going to write down some thoughts, because these people think that I prepare this. But we were looking in the chat one day, and people were like, "Oh, it's funny that Ed makes up all his."
he just
stuff like
comes
a
in
day
with all
before."
these
No, he's just doing like
routines.
Oh my God! Yeah, I got
He
these
is-
routines. Well, that's why they're so brilliant.
you're drawing guns and muscles.
Yeah, I'm literally filling in the O's and all the O's. Like anyway, so the bottom line is, I had a whole rant about how it'd be so cool to see him like that Halo jump thing. Let's say that Fallout never happened, and you see that Halo jump sequence, and it's Batman, and it's on the actor who plays Batman's face the whole time because they got a nut.
So Tom Cruise is playing
Yeah, it's
Batman.
Tom Cruise, basically.
Yeah.
But or at least trying to fake it CGI wise. You know what I'm saying? Something slightly better than the beginning of Overlord or something like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, the bottom line is I understand what you're saying, but look at what Christopher McQuarrie
The beginning of Overlord is fantastic.
yeah,
It doesn't need to
but
be
I'm saying
better.
like even slightly better than that, because that movie still had like a lower budget than this giant thing
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about. So I'm just saying more production value, more stuff happening. But all I'm saying is like he's got the tiger by the tail. He's got the best star, as you just illuminated. You can't even envision anybody else doing what I just said, because Tom Cruise is the greatest. So he's got Tom Cruise. He's got Tom Cruise's ear, like a king in an old Shakespeare play. It's like, it's like, hello, I'm telling you what. And the king's like, yes, this guy is awesome.
So he's the favorite.
Yeah, he's like Iago or whatever. He's like, hey, Iago was always telling me the dope stuff,
So he's. No. Did you
What?
see The Favorite? You know what The Favorite has
He's
to do.
putting herbs on his
Yeah,
legs
exactly.
when he breaks his
Yeah.
ankle. He's
On
just
his legs.
yeah.
Well,
I love,
Yeah.
by the way, that all it took for Tom Cruise to shake our national image of him jumping up and down the couch is to literally jump off every high
tall.
point.
Dude, he's like, oh, you ain't seen jumping.
He's like, oh, I'm the jumping guy now? I'll show
right.
you.
I'll jump.
So that's
And
what
now
I'm
we're like,
saying.
Tom Cruise is the best. Where 10 years ago,
Right.
we're like,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is a weirdo.
Yeah. So for all of us envisioning a Birds of Prey movie that has a bunch of chicks doing Tom Cruise stuff, I'm just, wow, that's amazing in my head. But he's got everything set up for himself to succeed. The best star, the star's ear, the star's always going to trust him, and a franchise that frankly has been written pretty well because he's got a pretty good screenwriter himself. So boom, like that's way better than having these jerks chirping your ear about how you're not doing Shazam right or whatever.
Yeah, well, the Christopher McQuarrie Shazam is now we circled all the way back, and that's one I do want to see. So I think that you guys are right. There are a million good reasons to stick with what he's doing and a million risks in not, because even if he did like the idea of doing a Star Wars or doing a DC movie, I think there is this pressure that we've been circling this back to the identity and the pressure and kind of the response around it, not just from fans, also from the studios and the interference. You have to imagine that if Tom Cruise is backing his decision, then he has a lot of freedom on those movies as a director, far more than a movie of that budget for probably that exists in a franchise like Star Wars or DC. So I get it. And he just called me and he said, I do love DC. Take it back. Take it back.
And he said, Roth, can you get Spider-Man in our next Mission Impossible movie?
I'm already on it. I'm already on it.
Spider-Man Far From Home. So far, I'm in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah. Now I want to see that.
Yep.
And if I say I want to see it, as we've established earlier in the show,
It
it's
happens.
happening, people. It's happening. You may not like it, but you're getting it. Okay. This is like so weird. We have to run through this pretty quickly, but there's some miscellaneous news pieces that we want to talk about. The Office in Space. This is via Deadline. Steve Carell is starring in a new workplace comedy series he co-created with Greg Daniels, creator of the U.S. Office, about about Space Force, and it's going to Netflix. So that sounds amazing. There is in Jumanji casting news, which I know we've all been eagerly awaiting. This is via IGN. Dwayne Johnson said, I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. Dwayne Johnson said that the following people are going to be joining the cast for Jumanji 2. Danny Glover.
Yes.
Awkwafina. And Danny DeVito.
Done.
Whoa. I'm glad I don't read these scripts before, because that's amazing.
Right? That's everything I need in life. Right there.
Awkwafina sandwich on Danny bread? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Oh, but that poster.
I just like the idea, too, that they're all basically playing their most iconic characters. Although, who would that really be for Danny DeVito? For me, he would be just playing Frank Reynolds.
Frank Reynolds,
right?
yeah, 100%.
Okay. Bill Murray and Sofia Coppola reunite for Apple. This is via The Wrap. Now, I'm going to correct The Wrap. Ha ha ha. It says that Sofia Coppola and Bill Murray are set to reunite for the first time since Murray's Oscar-nominated performance in Lost in Translation. Hello, did you not see the Christmas special on Netflix?
Yeah.
They never broke up, but they are doing this. This is another of Apple is creating the weirdest mix of content for their launch, which I kind of think is probably not the best strategy, but it's weird for me, so I like it.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing. They're just dumping money on people's doorsteps.
They have no idea this is part of the partnership between A24 and Apple, which is exciting, but then they also have this like Jennifer Aniston rom.
Yep.
Like, what are you, Apple? I like it. Can't track you.
As long as it's free.
As long as it's free. And then we have words.
Yeah.
So that's it. Their thoughts, response, feelings, just about the array of weirdness I just
I'll go
presented
real quick.
to you. Yeah.
Office in Space. Steve Carell, God love him. He tried 3 times really hard to get an Oscar this year, just didn't pan out for him. So send him into space. That works for me. Jumanji casting. I have the same amount of feelings for Jumanji as I have for Ghostbusters. Sure, I'm sure I'll see it. I don't really care one way or another. I like Danny DeVito though. And the Murray Coppola, I think this is Apple showing how much they are committed to doing true premium content for their streaming service, especially that with that partnership with
It's really niche content, though.
Still, though, it's like feels like a prestige film already, and this is like their first thing out the gate, which I think sets the bar, in my opinion, pretty high for the kind of content, the quality that you're going to see on their service. So I think that's a pretty big announcement.
And just asterisk clarification, the Jennifer Aniston is a series, not a movie.
Yes.
Spencer.
Okay, number 1, Office in Space. That's a great premise. Absolutely love it. The Space Force is inherently ridiculous. And I would love to see Steve Carell go back to full-blown comedy instead of sort of funny, to see Steve Carell in prosthesis, do Rumsfeld and stuff like that. This is, I'm definitely excited for that. Jumanji casting. I can't wait to see what. I hope they do the same thing with DeVito that they did with Jack Black and have a superficial teenage girl have to inhabit the body of Danny DeVito. That's it's the same thing, but even better. And then the Murray Coppola thing sounds like a good movie. I hope it's not another love story like Lost in Translation is between Bill Murray now in his 70s and Rashida Jones.
Yeah.
It's starting to get up there,
Yeah,
that age difference. Even though that was kind of addressed in the first one, that's creepy to see them making out on camera. Those are my 3 takes.
Just one really quick correction for you.
Yeah.
I think what we learned was she wasn't superficial. Okay.
And by the end.
By the end.
Yes.
I don't know, man. As long as Quincy Jones is alive, Rashida Jones is not going to make out with Bill Murray off screen. Quincy Jones got the hitters out there, boy. Nah, boy, that's not going to happen, bro. That's really all I have to say about it.
Okay.
She's her own woman.
I don't know what to make of this show, so you guys are going to have to tell us in the comments below, hopefully nicely. Tomorrow, movie fights. M. Night Shyamalan fights. Which this is...
M fights Shyamalan.
M fights Shyamalan.
M fights Shyamalan. Joe, this is so weird. I love it. It's Joe Star versus Sacha Perl-Raver versus Cucumber.
All right.
So already that's the best movie fights
What a
of the
twist.
year.
That's a twist.
Everybody tune in and watch it. That's basically the Apple streaming service in a movie fights,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned. And I'm into it. So you watch it, we'll watch it. We have to contractually, but at your pleasure. Bye.